Thank you. My name is Hadiza Miyake Abakar. I'm pursuing a doctorate degree in economics here at Texas Tech University, Lubbock, Texas. The decision came from watching the gap widen between what I knew as an economist and what people actually needed. At the Nigerian Television Authority, I managed budget and saw colleagues struggle with financial decisions despite having steady incomes. I realized I could analyze monetary policy all day, but that wouldn't help someone understand why their debt kept growing or how to plan for retirement. My family had mixed reactions. My parents were concerned about living in a secure government position, especially given Nigeria's economic climate, but they also understood that I'd been restless for years. My husband was supportive, though the adjustment wasn't easy. We went from financial stability to student life in our 30s. What helped was framing it not as abandoning security, but as investing in greater impact. I wasn't running from something, I was running towards something I knew I was meant to do. Thank you. The biggest misconception is that budgeting means deprivation. Students hear budget and think it means giving up everything they enjoy. They don't see it as a tool for getting what they actually want. I address this by starting with their goals, not their spending. I ask, what do you want to do after graduation? Do you want to buy a car? Do you want to move to a particular city? Then we work backward. If you want to move to Washington, for instance, after graduation, and you need about $3,000 for deposits and moving costs, that's roughly about $250 a month for 12 months. Suddenly, the budget isn't about restriction, it's about making Washington possible. The second misconception is about student loans. Many students don't understand that the firing isn't the same thing as pausing. Interest keeps accumulating. When I show them the actual numbers, how a $5,000 loan can become $10,000 if they defer for several years, that's when the light comes on. Numbers make it real. Thank you. The challenges are similar, but the context differ. In Nigeria, the primary barrier is access to formal financial systems. Many families operate in cash economies, so concepts like credit scores or compound interest are completely foreign. Students often don't have bank accounts until university, and financial education simply isn't part of the curriculum. In America, the challenge is access to too much credit too soon. Americans then get credit card offers before they understand how interest works. They have student loans that feel abstract until the payment starts. The financial system is sophisticated, but financial education hasn't kept pace. What I found is that Nigerian students, when they learn financial principles, they tend to be more conservative, perhaps because they've seen economic instability firsthand. American students often have more optimism about future earnings, which can lead to underestimating debt risk. Both groups share one thing: they are making major financial decisions, college choices, loans, credit cards without adequate preparation. The solution in both contexts is the same: meet people where they are, give them practical tools, not just theory. Thank you so much for the question. I would say mandatory financial coaching as part of the college experience, not a one-time workshop, but ongoing support integrated into student services like academic advising or career counseling. Here's why. Students don't absorb financial information in a single section. They need it when they are actually making decisions, choosing a meal plan, signing a lease, accepting a loan package, getting their first credit card. If coaching were embedded in university structure, students could access help at those critical moments. This wouldn't be a lecture hall course on economic theory. It will be practical, personalized guidance. Here's a financial aid offer. Let's talk about what happens after graduation. You're thinking about studying abroad, let's build a budget. You got a job offer, let's discuss salary negotiation and benefits. The peer coaching model works because it is non-judgmental. Students are more likely to ask a peer coach about debt than to admit financial struggles to a professor or parent. If every university had a robust peer financial coaching program with trained students available for drop-in sections, workshops, and one-on-one meetings, we could transform financial outcomes for millions of students. The return on investment will be enormous, not just for students but for society. Financial literate graduates default less on loans, save more, invest early, and make better economic decisions throughout their lives. We invest heavily in student intellectual development. We should invest equally in their financial capability. Thanks so much for that question. I don't see these roles as separate parts, I see them as a part of a whole. My ultimate goal is to be what I would call a scholar practitioner, someone who conducts rigorous research that directly informs practice and whose practice reveals questions that need research. If I had to be specific, I see myself in a university setting where I can do all four. I want to teach economic courses, not just cover theory, but show students how economics shape their daily lives. I want to continue coaching students one on one because that's where I see whether the principles actually work. I want to conduct research that measures what interventions generally improve financial outcomes, not what sounds good in theory, but what changes behavior in practice. And eventually, I want that research to inform policy, whether at the institutional level or beyond. Here's what I mean practically. Right now, I am analyzing data from our peer coaching program to identify what approaches work best. That's research. I'm using those findings to define how we coach students. That's practice. I'm teaching students both in sections and potentially in classrooms. That's education. And I hope the evidence we generate will influence how university structure financial literacy programs. That's policy. The common trend is impact. I measure my success not by publications alone, but by lives changed. The student who avoids $5,000 in unnecessary debt, the graduate who starts investing early, the family that achieves financial stability, that's the work that matters. Research gives it rigor, education scales it, practice tests it, and policy sustains it. So if someone were to ask me to choose one label, I'll probably say an educator because education done right encompasses all the rest. But I'm not interested in education that just stays in the classroom. I want to educate through research, through coaching, through evidence that changes minds and systems. That's where I see myself in the next 10 years, at the intersection of all four roles, using each to strengthen the other. Thank you.